All, a very good evening. Welcome to Sakshi TV's special immigration talk show with attorney Ms. Prashanthi Reddy. I am Preeti Mulbagal, your host for the show. She's an accomplished attorney. Ms. Reddy attended the University of Pennsylvania Law School in 1996. She's an experienced over 17 years of immigration as an immigration attorney. Ms. Reddy has attended in the bar in New York City and is a member of American Immigration Lawyers. She is listed in the Forbes magazine as one of the best immigration attorneys in New York. She was voted as a super lawyer for 2022-25 and is listed in the Marquee Who's Who for 2024-25. She was also recognized by the American Institute of Legal Counsel as one of the 10 best immigration attorneys in New York. She is currently involved in pro bono legal work and volunteers for women's organizations such as Manavi and Sakshi, conducting weekly webinars and seminars. Ms. Reddy has many more accolades to her credit. So please welcome Ms. Prashanthi Reddy. Ms. Reddy, thank you so much for your time for being here with us. So today,
thanks, Preeti. It's always good to be part of this show.
Yes, ma'am. So today's topic, as we have about the aliens registration. So could you please throw some light on what actually is the alien registration?
Sure. As of January 20th, 2025, this year, President Trump issued an executive order, Executive Order 14159, protecting the American people against invasion, which directed that the Department of Homeland Security should make sure that all aliens comply with their duty to register and under Section 262. So I must bring to your attention that this section is not new. It's always been there, but previously there was nobody ever enforced, this alien registration requirement. So even though it's not a new section, they're enforcing it now. They never enforced it before. So what is the Section 262 of the Immigration and Nationality Act? What does that require? It basically requires, of course, with some exceptions, that all aliens 14 years of age or older, so anyone over 14 years of age, who were not registered and fingerprinted when applying for a U.S. visa, and who remain in the U.S. For 30 days or longer, only if you're remaining for 30 days or longer. If you've never previously been fingerprinted for a visa, they must now apply for registration and fingerprinting. So parents of children who are turning over 14, so this is key. Even if you are a permanent resident, if you've been fingerprinted before, maybe your child has not been fingerprinted because there's no fingerprinting requirement for a person under 14. So it's only when they turn 14, within their 30 days of their turning 14, 30 days of their birthday, they should actually register. So this is important. Even permanent residents, non-immigrant, but H4s, whatever their status may be, F2s. So it's likely that the parents would have been registered already because they're legal immigrants, but the children may not have been. So please keep this in mind. If your child is turned 14 within 30 days of his birthday, please ensure that he registers.
Okay, so basically,
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Preeti.
So when we keep hearing that, we have to register within 30 days, that basically 30 days is actually by the birth date, right? Before they turn 14. So,
yes, correct. After they turn 14, within 30 days of their birthday. Correct. Yes.
Okay. So that is clear to us.
Right. So once they get registered, it's basically a biometrics process. You have to appear for fingerprinting. Then USCIS will issue proof of registration. And then if you're over 14 years of age, anyone who's over 14 years of age must carry that proof of registration document with them. If you don't register, and if you've never been fingerprinted, failure to comply may result in criminal penalties or civil penalties. It could be a misdemeanor, or it could be there could be an imposition of a fine. There could even be incarceration, which means jail time. That's what USCIS has said on their website. So while many aliens in the United States may already have registered because they have entered legally and most probably they've been fingerprinted, there are a significant number of aliens who may not have a way of registering, especially the kids who turn 14, right? They would have never been fingerprinted before because there's no requirement to fingerprint children under 14. So what the USCIS has done is they've established a way to get them registered as well. So, and of course, we're talking about people, not just legal immigrants, but also you must know that people who are illegal also, who do not have any valid status, must also register. So they've established, in order to make this available, since there was no process to do it, even though there was a law, they've made a new form available, which is the G325R. Biometrics registration form. It's an online process. You have to go open an account for yourself on the open a myuscis.org account, and then go to this form and register. Of course, registration doesn't give you status if you don't have any status, but it's required by law. Yes,
that was
Preeti.
my next thing. That was my next thing. I was wondering if they are not legally allowed to stay in the country, if they don't have a proper status, then they probably would be really scared to even get to this point of registering themselves.
Right. So it's kind of like between the frying pan and the fire, right? So they don't.
Which is better.
Right, which is better, because if they don't register, then they're saying civil, criminal penalties, misdemeanors, incarceration. That's worse. Having a criminal case against you is worse than being out of status, because this is an immigration violation and that's a criminal violation. So the consequences are more serious. But as soon as you get registered, yes, now ICE knows where you are. So, obviously the purpose of doing this is so that the administration can keep track of everyone, and they're trying to get people who have no status to self-deport by providing them these choices, which are kind of impossible choices.
So true, so true. So you mentioned that we'll have to have the proof of registration available. So does it mean that the way we carry our license, driver's license, as a mark of our ID, so we are supposed to carry the registration proof as well?
Yes, for those who are actually going and actively registering, they will be given proof of registration and they should carry it. Of course, for those folks who are already in the country, I think that's a good segue into our next question: who is already registered and doesn't need to register? For those people, whatever their status is, they have to carry proof of status, and that has always been the law, right? If you're on F1, then you carry your proof of your F1 status. It could be your I-94, it could be your Form I-797 approval. If you're a lawful permanent resident, you're carrying a green card, so on and so forth. If you're on a H1, you're carrying maybe your H1 approval. I mean, to
now
what
this
extent
also adds to their proofs. Now this document also adds to their proofs.
Correct. Yeah. So we don't know to what extent they're going to enforce and that you're supposed to carry, but the law has always been that you have to carry not just proof of ID but proof of immigration status. And now I think maybe they need to enforce it more. But coming back to who does not need to register is lawful permanent residents, aliens who have been paroled into the country. So if you come on advance parole, come back on advance parole, you don't need to register. Aliens admitted to the US who are non-immigrants, who've been issued an I-94 or I-94W, whatever it might be, a waiver. So those people have to register, don't have to register anybody who has an I-94. All aliens present in the US who were issued immigrant or non-immigrant visas before their last date of arrival. So if you actually received a visa, before giving you a visa, they fingerprint you. They have to. So your fingerprints are there. They have it. Aliens whom DHS has placed into removal proceedings. If a person is out of status and you're in removal proceedings, again, you're fingerprinted, therefore you don't need to go and register. Anybody who has employment authorization, if you have an EID card, again, you're required to fingerprint. You're fingerprinted, so you don't need to register. People who have applied for permanent residence, 485s, I-700, I-687, whatever it might be, they have to also provide fingerprints when they're filing for their adjustment. And so, they already have their fingerprints. They don't have to register. So these are people who don't have to worry about registration because there's a lot of confusion about who needs to register, who doesn't. I get so many questions. I have an I-94. Do I need to register? I'm a permanent resident. Do I need to register? No, you don't. It's only if you have, if you meet all these criteria, you don't need to register. But if you are turning 14, then even if you meet all these criteria, you still have to register because you have most probably not been fingerprinted before. But now, who is not registered? Let's look at we've looked at who is registered. Now let's look at who is not registered. Aliens present in the US without inspection or admission. So if they've come in illegally into the country without inspection, right? They've crossed the border and they've not been inspected at the border. Canadians who are visiting, there's a visa waiver program for Canadians, and they often don't have to be fingerprinted. They don't have a visa. So they have to register. It's very important if they're Canadian visitors who are coming on a visa waiver program, if they're staying for more than 30 days only, then they have to register. Aliens who submitted a benefit request to USCIS, certain aliens such as people who have deferred action or TPS, and who are not given any evidence of registration, they have to register. So it's very clear there are three groups of people that have to register. So please make sure you know which group you stand in, and you register accordingly. So as I said, if anyone who's 14 years and older who are not registered and fingerprinted before should register at least 30 days within the time that they reach their 14th birthday. And if they don't, for the minors, obviously the minors can't be incarcerated or held responsible, but the parents or the legal guardians of the kids who are 14 years old age, 14 years or older will be held responsible, held liable, and then will be incarcerated or misdemeanor fines or whatever it may be. So just make sure you know which category you're in.
Okay, right. So we have so many hundreds of thousands of Indian immigrants in the US. So how bad is it going to be? You must have been bombarded with questions and doubts from, all the Indian immigrants. So how were you able to manage that? I mean, I think I've asked two questions together.
No problem. So yes, there are a lot of inquiries about registration because people don't understand who needs to register and who doesn't. But if you have any questions, go to the right source. Of course, you can speak to an immigration attorney, but there's so many blogs out there, websites, videos that where they're saying, oh, you need to register, you don't need to register. And some of them are incorrect. So go to the source. Either go to an immigration attorney or go to USCIS website. Go to uscis.gov/alien registration, or just type in alien registration on your Google, on Google, and you'll go to the USCIS website, and it's very nicely detailed as to who needs to register and who doesn't. So, no need to panic. Yes, there are a lot of immigrants out there, as you said, a lot of Indian non-immigrants as well as permanent residents. Most of them don't need to register, but some of them may need to. So check the website. If you have questions after this program, you can reach out to me. And yes, a lot of people are reaching out just because the climate is like that now. People are worried. Every day there's new news under the present administration. So it's difficult to keep up even for attorneys, right? There's STEM, there is CVIS terminations for students. There's this new registration requirements that's happening. So a lot of things are happening at the same time, and new executive orders every day. So difficult to keep up, but knowledge is power, and ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So you have to be knowledgeable about what your rights are, but at the same time, what the laws are and what your obligations are.
So it's an entirely different country than what we actually knew previously. It is like pre-COVID, post-COVID, like, pre-president, post-president kind.
Yes, yes, yes.
So,
And that happens. I mean, and that's the thing with immigration and these policies, unfortunately, depending on whichever administration comes in, it can take a 365 degrees turn, which is not good for the country, not good for the economy, but I guess people have their reasons, and from our point of view, we just have to stay safe and make sure that we know what is expected of us.
right. So coming to the second part of my question, so how does it affect, specifically talking about Indian immigrants, how does it affect Indian immigrants?
It doesn't affect Indian immigrants in any way different from people from other countries. But the good thing with reference to Indian immigrants is if you've already come in legally, but I was going to say that there are not that many illegal Indian immigrants, but I remember that there were quite a few. Apparently, 1/4 of the immigrants, illegal immigrants, are represented by Indian nationals. So, but for those who are already in status and who have an I-94 and who have come in on a visa, you're not really affected at all because there's nothing that you need to do. Unless you have a child who's turning 14, that's the only thing that you have to keep in mind. When the child turns 14, do the registration. It's a pretty simple process. So it's a matter of going to the website and doing the needful, and then going for your biometrics. And it's like getting a social security number or getting your driver's license, stand in line. So that's the only effect that it has. It has no further effect if you are in status. If you are not in status, you're an Indian national, and you register, we don't know what consequences it could have. Of course, now the purpose of it is to let the enforcement agents know where you are, where you're staying, your contact information, your biometrics, they have everything. So it can have a huge impact on people who are not in status. But it's a catch-22 situation because, as I said, if they don't register, they have one problem. If they register, another problem. So that's how it is.
But at least one thing, they'll have a higher sigh of relief, that because most of them are into IT predominantly, and
Yes.
either in New York, and most of them are law-abiding and legally immigrated people. So that
Correct.
might be sigh of relief for them. And
Yes.
based on your experience, so how far do you think, how long do you think the entire registration process might need? Because there are some millions of immigrants, because the country is made with immigrants, right? So for all of them to get registered and for this rule to be completely applied the way everybody does get their SSN, these are all the rules that are in place already. Getting their driver's license, getting their SSN card and all, fingerprinting, all these things. Sorry, not fingerprinting. So the other ones. So how long do you think it is going to take for this to completely be in effect?
Well, the good thing is that, as I was saying, most people are already registered. So, they might not need to register again. It'll just be the kids and there might be quite a few of them, right? Thousands at least. And of course, we are not even talking about aliens who have no status. There are again a few million of that. And if everybody registers at the same time, I can guarantee you the system will crash. Because we've seen USCIS systems, have crashed before, especially when there's a large influx of people, people registering at the same time or using the system at the same time. Because when we do the H-1B registration, we see, sometimes the system does crash. But in order to register, they've made it pretty simple. So the process shouldn't take more than a few days. You have to actually go to the USCIS online account, and there is information as to how you can create your own My USCIS account. And then once you go to the My USCIS account, you simply have to um, look for the form G325R, and then you submit the form G325R. It's an online electronic form again, but there's also a version where you can mail the form in as well. But then if you mail it in, you won't get an immediate confirmation, so it's better to do the online version. The G325R basically is asking for some basic biographic information, name, age, address, etc. And yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. So after filling this form online, how long does it take for them to get an appointment for the fingerprinting?
Right. So once you have to just remember that the form has to be submitted by the person that's opening the USCIS account. But if you're a parent or legal guardian of a kid, a person under 14, it'll be you'll need to submit the form on behalf of that individual. So it'll be on their USCIS individual account. So the child who's 14 will open their account, and then you'll submit the form on their behalf. But
so it happens in a couple of weeks, or it takes a couple of weeks for them to receive the.
I'm coming to that. I just wanted to go through the process step by step. So once you do that, the next is that you will receive a biometrics appointment. If you're required to register, USCIS will schedule a biometric services appointment for you right now. We don't know right now how long it's taking because the entire process has just started. So no one has actually gone and done their biometrics because it only started on the 11th, I believe. So all you need to do from your end, doesn't matter how long it takes because you don't care. Once you've completed the form, then however long it takes for you to get a biometrics appointment, that's not your problem. That's USCIS's problem, right? As long as you show that you completed your part and you go on the day that they have scheduled the appointment.
Right.
If you willfully fail to or refuse to attend the biometrics appointment, then you have a problem. Again, you can be, slapped with criminal penalties, civil penalties, etc., etc. And once you then complete the biometrics appointment, then you'll be allowed to download a PDF version of, the registration of the notice. So, that's the process really. We don't know exactly how long biometrics will take. If there are a lot of people, it might even take a few months. If you've just started and people are just still on the fence as to whether they should register or not, it might be pretty quick. But generally, biometrics appointments take a long time, even for adjustment of status applications. So I'm not surprised if it takes a few months.
Okay. Yeah, since the process has just started, so it could take some time for this to get standardized.
Correct.
The way
yes.
The other rules are standardized. So is there any specific buffer time, as in, the rule has been released just probably last week, and then within a stipulated amount of time, say you have a 1 month to get yourself registered. So do we have anything like that? Any time frame that they need to complete their registration?
Right. So there's no grace period to complete the registration. The registration law came in as of the date that it came in, and it's implemented from that day. So there's no grace period. However, there has been a lawsuit filed, and they have asked for the law to be put on pause, but the judge did not agree to a temporary stay on the case. So the law continues as of the date that it was supposed to continue on the 11th. So they did try to put a pause on it and get a stay from the court, but that was not successful. So the The court case is still going on, but while the court case is going on, there's no stay granted by the judge.
Okay. Okay. So is there any other suggestions that you would like to give our immigrants, our viewers?
Again, just be vigilant and just know that also there are criminal penalties for failure to carry evidence of registration. So, as I said, before any alien required to register, and if he's 18 years of age or older, and if you fail to comply with the requirement, the one requirement is you register, and the other requirement is that you carry the evidence of registration and have that in their personal possession at any time, any given point of time. Otherwise, you might be guilty of a misdemeanor conviction, and the fine for a misdemeanor can exceed $5,000, or it could be imprisonment, or for more than 30 days, or maybe even both. Another thing to remember is, update the address. All aliens living in the US required to register must report a change of address to USCIS within 10 days of moving. So I also strongly encourage you to submit your change of address through, again, your USCIS online portal as soon as you move. And there's a separate AR11 form for that, for change of address. So please make sure you do that. Again, they're saying that there's criminal and civil penalties for not updating the change in address also. That's a little scary. And there's always been a rule that you have to update your address, but never any civil or criminal penalties for not updating your address, online. And last but not the least, avoid, immigration scams. There's a lot of scams and people who are not accredited giving advice and giving wrong advice, and some scams where they're taking money from you, proposing to be ICE agents. So please be careful. Ask for proper verification, ask for documentation. When in doubt, always contact an immigration attorney. Now is the time where the scamsters will be most active, because people are the most scared with reference to their immigration status. So people are getting a lot of phone calls saying that we are IRS, or we are, ICE, or we are USCIS, and we know you're out of status. Please provide us with X amount of dollars. Otherwise, we will, as a bond or something like that. That's the language that they use. So be careful with those scams. Take all the information and don't react immediately. Get all the information, then speak to an immigration attorney. And then get advice before you take any action.
Right. That makes so much sense, because we hear a lot about these scams, getting a call from IRS and, trying to scam the money out. Yes, absolutely. So we've provided so much information, so much valuable information to our viewers, Ms. Reddy. And viewers, please make sure you follow all the rules and regulations that have been posted, and go to the right source, as Ms. Reddy has notified us. Go to the right source, contact an immigration attorney, or go to the USCIS website. Every information is provided right there. And go to the form. You have the form G325, or you have to fill in that form and get your registration completed, and you will get the information for the fingerprinting. So all this needs to be done, and follow all the rules that have been provided in the USCIS website as well. So it is a good thing that it is not going to affect any differently for the Indian immigrants, different from any other country. So if we are a lawful citizen and law-abiding citizen, that should not be a problem. Okay, so thank you so much for your time, Ms. Reddy, and it was amazing having you on the show with your valuable information.
Same here, and it's always nice to be on Sakshi TV, and see you again next time.
Thank you so much. You have a great day.